Okay, so a mother was shot in the head by federal agents in Minneapolis, and while her child mourns the loss of their mother, Republicans in the House Judiciary Committee are having a meltdown, not over the killing, but because a Democratic congresswoman quoted the mayor of Minneapolis saying, "Get the fuck out," in response to federal agents bringing lethal violence to his city. Apparently, dead bodies are fine, but curse words? That's where they draw the line. So what happened is this. During a House Judiciary Committee markup session on January 8th, Representative Jasmine Crockett of Texas decided to do something radical. She acknowledged that a woman had been killed by federal agents and suggested maybe Congress should, look into that. The GOP's response was to clutch their pearls over her use of profanity while quoting the mayor of Minneapolis, completely ignoring the whole dead citizen thing. All right, let's watch the video, and I will give you my take on it later.
The gentlelady from Texas is recognized to strike the last word.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd ask to strike the last words.
Gentlelady's recognized.
Thank you so much. It is so hard to sit here sometimes because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child. A child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad, and so we got to get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm, they're bringing the crime. The mayor of Minneapolis told y'all to get the fuck out. Yet y'all are the ones, it is this administration that is bringing crime to their streets. That's what's happening.
It's the third incident where somebody has dropped an F-bomb in this committee, including the video.
I'm sorry.
Including the video that we had to watch earlier.
Are your princess ears okay?
Is it profanity?
But
The
you're
princess
more
ears
upset
of
about my
Representative.
words
The committee-
than you are about the fact that a woman
Are you
is
soft?
dead.
House of Representatives.
The gentlelady
Are we
will
offending your
suspend
princess ears? Are they that soft?
All members will
Maybe some of the
suspend.
kids out there.
Mr. Chairman, it is the
You're
gentlelady's
killing
time.
them.
Kids.
It is the gentlelady's time. Let's let her have her time.
It is the gentlelady's time. Would you stop the clock for a moment? Okay, and
That was the quote.
I'll restore that. The chair will remind all members that the person controlling the time is not to be unreasonably interrupted. We would further admonish that whenever possible to express the full meaning of something, it be done so without an expletive that may be offensive to people here in the audience or those who watch this on television. I understand that a quote at times is essential, but I would admonish everyone that it has been the practice of this committee for the many years I've been here to use such things as F-bomb in order to get the message out without actually using the word. Notwithstanding that, the gentlelady will be recognized for this time plus an additional 20 seconds. The gentlelady may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Long story short, we are sitting in judiciary and no one on that side of the aisle seems to care that this particular person, whose name we don't know at this point, became the judge, jury, and executioner. I don't know how you square that. And then we're sitting here literally in markup for a bail funds bill. When I first ran for office, it was in the midst of yet another lynching by law enforcement in Minneapolis. At that time, it was George Floyd. I remember working as a pro bono criminal defense attorney to help protesters that were being arrested. There were more than 600 protesters that were arrested in Dallas. There were churches that came together to make sure that there were bail funds. There were nonprofit organizations. And to explain how it works for bail, since we're in judiciary and we're writing the laws, and some people may not understand this, but those bail funds, those nonprofit organizations are not the ones that determine whether or not somebody gets bail. What they do is they help out poor people, which I know y'all are not interested in either. But they help out people that aren't rich and famous and have limitless amounts of money, like all of the Epstein defendants who somehow y'all can't find, even though y'all went and got Maduro. But it helps out those people to be able to get out of jail. Many of those people that if they spend just a couple of days in jail will then be thrust into straight up poverty because they will lose everything. Why it is that you want to criminalize people such as churches that are trying to help the poor because they understand what the Bible says, and they don't just say that they understand it or say that they love Jesus, but they decide that they actually put it into works because faith without works is dead. That is wrong too. And I'm here to tell you that there's gonna be a lot of nonprofit organizations that are gonna step up in this moment, because there are gonna be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution that we all saw unfold, unless there is some kind of justice that takes place and we get the name of that officer and that officer is prosecuted. So I ask that law enforcement, we have oversight over them. I am the oversight ranker. Let's go ahead. In fact, I make a motion that we have a hearing in the oversight subcommittee as it relates to this particular issue and what took place.
The gentlelady was not recognized for purposes of motions. Does anyone else seek recognition? Seeing no others.
If you're watching this thinking, wait, did Republicans really just object to language while completely ignoring a fatal shooting by federal agents? You're right to be stunned, but here's what you need to know about what just happened and what makes it even more disturbing than it appears. First, let's talk about what Crockett was actually trying to do. She's the ranking member on the Oversight Subcommittee, which means it's literally her job to investigate potential government misconduct. When she made that motion at the end for a hearing, she wasn't grandstanding, she was attempting to use the formal mechanism that exists precisely for situations like this. And the chair ruled her motion out of order. Think about that. A federal agent shoots someone in the head, and the committee with oversight authority won't even allow a motion for a hearing. Now, here's the pattern you need to understand. These are the same Republicans who spent years demanding oversight hearings for everything from Hunter Biden's laptop to the Twitter files to Dr. Fauci's emails. Remember when they hauled him in repeatedly? They've held hearings on everything from woke corporate policies to whether social media platforms were being mean to conservatives. But a federal agent kills a civilian, and suddenly oversight is out of order? Let's also talk about what Crockett said about bail funds, because this context matters. She referenced George Floyd, another person killed by law enforcement in Minneapolis, and how during those protests, churches and nonprofits set up bail funds to help arrested protesters who couldn't afford bail. These organizations don't determine who gets bail. Judges do that. They just help poor people actually afford it, so they don't lose their jobs, their housing, their lives, while sitting in jail awaiting trial. And Republicans want to criminalize these organizations, including churches, for helping the poor, truly following that whole what you do for the least of these thing Jesus talked about, aren't they? But here's the real strategy at work. Notice how the GOP member interrupted specifically when Crockett quoted the mayor, not when she talked about the shooting, not when she talked about a child losing their mother, when she used profanity while quoting an elected official's response to federal agents in his city. Because if they can make the story about decorum, about language, about whether Democrats are being uncivil, then they don't have to talk about the dead woman. It's a deflection technique, and it's worked for them before. And Eric Swalwell's response, "Are your princess ears okay?" was pitch perfect, because it named exactly what was happening. You're clutching your pearls over language while a woman lies dead and you won't even discuss it. The priority is backwards, and he said it out loud. So when someone asks you about this, here's what you tell them. The House Judiciary Committee has clear oversight authority over federal law enforcement agencies. When there's a fatal shooting by federal agents, Congress can and should investigate. But Republicans refuse to even allow a motion for a hearing, choosing instead to police the language a congresswoman used while quoting a mayor's response to the killing. That's not about civility, that's about avoiding accountability. So what does this actually mean for you? Here's the personal impact. When federal agents can shoot someone in the head, and the Oversight Committee with the power to investigate refuses to even hold a hearing, what's your recourse? Who do you call? Congress is supposed to be the check on executive power. That's the whole design of the system. But if the majority party decides they're just not interested in investigating when federal agents use lethal force, then there is no check. It's like having a smoke detector that only goes off when you use the microwave, but stays silent during actual fires. Now scale that up to the institutional level. We're watching the normalization of unchecked federal force. If this becomes the standard, federal agents can use deadly force and Congress won't investigate, then we've fundamentally altered the balance of power in this country. And here's what makes it even more concerning. These are the same Republicans who've spent years warning about government overreach and federal tyranny. They built entire political careers on the idea that we need to keep Washington in check. But the moment it's their administration's agents pulling the trigger, suddenly oversight is out of order. And for what? What is this protection of federal agents who kill civilians actually accomplishing? Is it making us safer? Is it reducing crime? Or is it just maintaining a posture where this administration can deploy force without consequence, without explanation, without even the most basic congressional scrutiny? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like they're protecting the badge regardless of what the person wearing it does, which is the opposite of accountability. Though I suppose consistency was never really their strong suit, was it? The darker reality here is that we're watching the construction of a system where federal agents can kill with impunity, where the oversight mechanisms exist on paper, but are simply not used, where the party that spent years screaming about government overreach has decided that oversight only matters when Democrats are in charge. And if you think that won't come back to haunt all of us, regardless of party, you haven't been paying attention. Though I suppose that tracks with being more upset about the word fuck than about someone getting shot in the head. Before you go, if you enjoyed this content and you want to see more and support independent media, please subscribe to this channel. The subscribe button will be right here on the screen. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much for watching.